One of Dubai's wealthiest ladies, Princess Shamsa, was forced to flee the nation in February 2018 to find a place where she could live in freedom. She had no idea, though, that wouldn't happen. She wouldn't be secure anywhere in the world. She was a princess, and princesses aren't automatically allowed to choose when they no longer choose to be a part of the royal family. She nevertheless gave it a shot and paid the price with her life. We will delve more into the downsides of being a princess in the Middle East in this video, including the price they are forced to pay simply by being born into the royal family. Shamsa, the princess, never had things simple. She was legally the daughter of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum when she was born, which meant that no matter what she did, people were watching her. And while most people would love the attention, Shamsa hated it. All she wanted was to go to the UK and get a degree from Cambridge. The crazy part was that she had the money and the brains for it. It took her one try to get in. But when she brought it up to her father, it was a hard no. The sheikh wouldn't allow it. Moreover, the princess was to remain in the palace in Dubai and forget about her dreams of studying abroad. But that's not the life she wanted for herself, so she did what any princess would do. She took matters into her own hands. In August of 2000, she grabbed the keys to one of her father's Range Rovers and with it, drove directly to the airport. From there, she took a flight to London and thought that she could fulfill her dream of going to Cambridge. But that didn't end up happening. Within the next few weeks, Shamsa was kidnapped in broad daylight off the streets of Cambridge. From there, she was first taken to Paris and then on a private jet back to Dubai, where her father wanted her to be. You'd think that the man just wanted his daughter home, but no, he wanted her back to punish her. So instead of letting her move back into the palace she used to live in before, he had her locked up in a prison. Shamsa spent the next 8 years locked up in isolation, heavily drugged and beaten. When she was released, it was as if she were just a shell of her former self. Nothing like the ambitious young woman who wanted to go to Cambridge. What's worse is that her sister, Princess Latifa, also fled the country a few years later, only to be forced back the same way. It's taken her close to a decade to escape from her father's grasp. But even today, she's living in the UK on borrowed time. At any point, the sheikh could decide to bring her back and she'll suffer the same fate her sister did. The world has now not been seen for 22 years just because she dared to dream and to try to get away. You'd think that Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum's behavior with his daughters was just because they wanted to try to run away from him, but Princess Latifa calls him evil. Evil men don't just keep their evils limited to their children, it extends to other people in their life too, especially their wives. For Haya bint Hussein, it was something she had to experience throughout her life. Haya was born a princess. Her father was King Hussein of Jordan, one of the most influential men in the Middle East. When Haya was in her late teens, she fell in love with one of the commanders in the Jordanian army. But right before they were going to make things official, he passed away in a mysterious accident. No one said it out loud, but it was obvious that the king had something to do with it. You see, princesses aren't just regular women. They're valuable. They could bring in new alliances to strengthen the country as a whole, so the king couldn't just let his daughter fraternize with the military men of his country. He had much bigger plans for her. Moreover, he wanted her to live in the palaces in Dubai as the wife of one of the most influential men in the country, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, and he made it happen. Haya was his second wife, but their marriage didn't last very long. The pair had a 25-year age gap, and their pairing was always an alliance, never really a marriage. After seeing how callously the sheikh treated Princesses Shamsa and Latifa, Princess Haya knew she had to save herself. She had to get out of Dubai if she was going to have a long life. So she grabbed both of her children, fled to the UK, and ended up filing for divorce. Everyone thought there was no way the sheikh would let her go, but he did. Not only did he let her go, but he also let her have sole custody of their children. What's even crazier is that Princess Haya was a victim of domestic abuse too. So she has seen firsthand how angry the sheikh can get, so she'd know exactly how bad things can get. But even then, she was able to make her way out of it like it was a normal relationship. Well, Princess Haya was able to walk away from a marriage she no longer wanted to be a part of. Princess Zainab Javadli didn't get the same freedom. In September 2020, a video of her crying and pleading for help surfaced on Instagram, and it made it clear that the hardships the princesses had to face at the hands of the sheikhs were not in the past. It was still happening, it was happening to Zainab, and no one could help her. Zainab Javadli was one of the most decorated athletes. She was a figure skater and gathered medal after medal throughout her skating career. In 2015, she met Sheikh Rashid Al Maktoum. The prince was an athlete himself, and despite their 15-year age gap, they fell in love. And in 2015, Zainab married the sheikh. She became his third wife, and she thought that since her husband was a billionaire and she'd barely had contact with the other wives, she'd be able to cope with it all. For the next couple of years, that's what seemed to be happening. The pair had 3 beautiful daughters together and seemed happy at public gatherings. But then, suddenly, news came out that Zainab had moved out of the palace into a private villa and was seeking a divorce from her husband. The sheikh wasn't going to let her go easily. In fact, he dragged her entire family into it too. In a video Zainab posted online, she was crying, asking for anyone to help her get her family away from the sheikh. But no one's influential enough to step in. Not the police, not the other authorities, no one at all. It's been over 2 years since anyone has heard from the former princess or her family. No one knows whether she was able to save her family or not, or she was too made to disappear, just like other princesses had before her. To the world, the last images of Zainab are of her pleading for help, with no word on whether that help ever got to her. There have been princesses treated horribly by the sheikhs, but no one comes close to the treatment Sheikh Randa had to face throughout her life at the hands of her ex-husband, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Randa met the sheikh when she was just 16 years old. In awe of his presence, she was immediately head over heels in love with him and agreed to marry him, becoming his first wife only a few months after their meeting. At 18 years old, Randa gave birth to the pair's only daughter together, Manal. But shortly after the child's birth, their relationship fell apart. Randa had uncovered something that Sheikh could do, and she no longer wanted to stay with him. Some say he had cheated. Others say she found out something much worse. But regardless of what it was, he allowed her to leave but told her that Manal had to stay behind. At first, she thought that she'd later be able to meet her, and maybe even get custody, but that didn't happen. The last time Randa, who's in her late 60s now, had seen her daughter was when she was 5 months old and could barely hold her neck up to crawl. Throughout her life, she kept trying to meet her daughter, but the sheikh made it so that she wouldn't be able to. The only time she had come close was when he allowed her to enter an event she'd been at, but told her to find Manal with her mother's intuition. Randa had trouble spotting her daughter among the thousands of ladies in the crowd. Her lifelong search for her daughter has been an agonizing one for her. She decided to end her relationship with the sheikh, and as a result, she was never even able to look at a photo of her, not realizing that it would be his life's mission to make her situation as miserable as possible. Haya, Randa, and Zainab are royally wed. They had hopes that their goals would come true, but they eventually discovered that their lives were the same as those of the princesses who had inherited the family. No matter how you become a princess, there is always a dark aspect to being a princess in the Middle East. You'll either vanish or wish you did if you speak out against the sheikh's authority, since then you wouldn't have to endure their abuse any longer. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed the video, and make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Thank you in advance for your feedback. I am Miss Luxurious, signing off for now. Do not forget to visit our YouTube luxury channel, Luxoid, to explore the exemplification of the great state of comfort and extravagant living.